In my speech, I will first provide a goal of our sides, and second, I will explain what the status quo looks like, and third, I will give 2 points of our side and explain why our side's policy can actually achieve in this goal. So, first, the goal of the motion. So our side think that, and our side's goal is that we need to prevent inequality in this market, and also, and meanwhile to boost the market. So so first, Judge, let's think about the basic logic and the status quo. So the basic logic of no, nowadays the media awards are actually separated into two kinds. One kind for female and one kind for male. So we the basic logic is pretty simple, Judge. People actually thinking that male and female cannot competing. And that is the basic logic of why we need to separate this church and this status quo. And we can see that nowadays, actually, like some company actually think that because of a female did like actress did not need to competing with actors when they are creating a movie they actually gives the actors some character that is not have a good equality so which means that in our side's cases if we actually combine these two groups together, which means um, the company needs to give the female the company needs to give the actress some good character and second in this status quo a lot of actors actually have more salaries than the actress and third also there's a lot of like female director that cannot make a movie or even cannot stand out and speak for the female. So because of the status quo, ours I think that we need to solve the problem by this policy. So my 2 points. First point is about this policy actually and increase the competing between male and female, which actually boosting the markets. So let's think about if the female and male need to compete together, which means this kind of award is pretty important for everyone, not just one kind of gender. And also, in this case, a lot of actors and actresses' ability will be improved because a lot of people want to get this. Uh, one oh sorry, I think there's a PY in chat. Like wants to get this award, so everyone's ability will actually be improved, which can fulfill the goal of our site boosting the market, and also more and more people will actually starting to creating good movies. Also because of the importance of the award is increasing. So which means in our side's cases, Judge, a lot of good actors and good actresses will have a chance to competing together, and their ability will be improved, and there will be more and more good movies, and people will be more creative in this markets, which actually fulfill our site's goal about boosting the market. And the second point is about we actually break the inequality and give female more chance to get good character. So as I explained in the status quo, Judge, and nowadays a lot of like actors cannot get pretty good character because the company actually think because they don't want to compete with the mill, so we don't actually need to give them a pretty good character. But in this case, if like the actors and the actress need to competing together, which means the company will actually give a more chance to the give more good character for the actress, and which actually forcing the company to like separate the resources more like separate the resources to both the female and the male equally, not and nowadays status quo, which actually the company separate the resources in some inequality ways. So in our side's case, we can actually break the inequality on resources, and we can we can also give actors more good character, which actually like which actually can give like good movies, and also some famous character for everybody to see. And we can because in this point, Judge, you can see that in our sides, first we actually boosting the markets by increasing the importance of the awards and more people competing in this awards, because we actually combine the mill and like combine two groups together. And second, we actually break the inequality by forcing the company to give more resources than now to the actress. And also in our size cases, we people will be more creative and have more good movies. So because all of that reason, please vote for ours, I think.
We value changing the film industry, fairness, and equality. We understand that government is looking for an increased market and breaking inequality, yet we can see that opposition actually does that better than government. Of on their side, arguments said that they increase competition, which boosts the market because it will be more improved and more people will create good movies. Yet when we increase the amount of categories, there will be a higher chance of people trying these categories, which means that it actually boosts the market because new categories will make new movies, and these new movies can be more popular than they already are. It can be more popular than the characters and the categories that proposition has already stated, which means that if their goal was to boost the market, then the judge should actually go with side opposition because side opposition boosts the market more than proposition. Their next case was that their policy breaks inequality because nowadays a lot of the actors don't get good characters and the companies don't give funding. So by giving one role and one category, it forces the companies to give actresses the roles, yet it's not really proven because instead of when you're in one category and the film directors know that some females have like weaker characters than males, then all they're gonna do is invest more on males. Instead of breaking the inequality, it actually increases the inequality because when it merges to one category and you know that there's one specific gender who's dominating, whether it's female or male, then the company, the directors will genuinely start funding whatever is starting to dominate, which causes inequality because the other gender who is not dominating will get less opportunities. Which is why, if this is the case that proposition is trying to argue why they win, we actually win this again. Which moves on to my next motion. Having more categories that vary in gender and in film type creates variety. When we open the categories, it encourages people to make films and the category for a chance to win. So creating another category for people who are genderless, like non-binary, will give them a chance and a place for them to try and act. It will give them somewhere where they can try something new without like being scared of being outnumbered by female or males, and it gives them a chance to give out an output that will not be competed against people who've been dominating the internet. That gives them the chance to win, and it's giving them the chance to have the opportunities for this. Next, when we create more categories, it raises awareness to the categories that maybe not exist yet, which means that there will be a larger variety, and people, when they see the options, they see a higher chance, like, oh, this like there's a new category, maybe I should try for this, or I never really looked into the film industry or the art industry, but this new category is something that makes me want to see it, which gives more market because there will be more movies made. For example, when a new category like the best horror romance film and Oscars come out, the people see that, oh, I didn't realize this was a theme. Now I'm gonna start making movies of this theme. And because they're starting to make new movies, they're giving a new standard of these movies that can be better than the standard of other movies. Because they have a new category, they try even harder. I want my film to make a new category as well in order for it to gain popularity. So people also try harder to improve the quality of their films and to improve the quality of their characters, which is also one of proposition's goals. And clearly, if that's one of the goals is to improve the creativity in their side, then our side wins, because by giving more categories, we increase the quality of the films in order for it to create, like, to do the best in a specific categories. With more categories, there's also bigger opportunities. When we have more awards, there's a higher chance of opportunities. If you win an award, people will start looking and taking interest. Oh wow, this actor won an award for this specific movie. He's probably really good. I will start to hire him for this next movie. And they will keep going chance and after chance and after chance, because you can see that, oh, he's really good in this specific theme, so I'm just gonna keep casting it on these themes in order for my specific movie to win with him too. Or, oh, he's good in this team and bad in this team, so I'll just not cast him in the team he's bad at. We can tell, like, where the actors and actresses can be casted in order for them to have a higher success chance, which means that because there are more categories and we can see, like, where they're stronger at and where they're weaker at, the directors actually have a chance to improve the quality of actors and actresses in their movies, to include more people, and for them to match, like, which best actor to which best movie and which actresses to which best movies, in order for them to have the best performances. And again, this can increase the quality of the movies, not only the quantity of the movies in our world. And in addition to that, having more awards will create more funding, because when there is be more categories, there will be different types of directors looking for different types of movies to fund. If there's more categories, then they're more likely to fund more films, which means that more films can be made. When there is new films getting made, it boosts the market and the actresses in order for them to create more movies in the certain theme that they have been really good at. And from there, we can see how opposition wins this debate, because first of all, we boost the market more than government would ever, and we also break gender inequality better, because we give more categories, so more people have the chance to compete in different categories, and we have a bigger impact on the industry, which is why clearly opposition wins this debate.
Okay, so today we're talking about a system that is supposed to celebrate excellence. So, but instead it is built on a lie. So that lie is that men and women can't compete equal. So this is why we have gendered media awards, and that's why we need to abolish them. So my partner laid out the core truth. These awards, like they are they show inequality and hold back female creators and hold back the entire industry. So today I'll reinforce that case, then show why opposition's flawed arguments, and if I have time, I'll bring a new point to the table and show why this motion is the only way to build a fair, thriving, truly equal media world. So first I'll rebuild my partner's case. So first she exposed these status, their fatal flaw. So the current system creates a perverse incentive for studios. So if actors only compete against other women, there's zero pressure to give them complex, high stakes, award worthy roles. So invest in a like female leader when you can put a man on the spotlight. So guarantee him a like shot at best actor and regulate women to like one-dimensional supporting parts. So this isn't just this theory. This is why we see like persistent pay gaps and why women are locked out of leading roles and why like female directors struggle to get like big budget projects. And second, she proved that like merging awards will like supercharge the market. So when the prize is open to everyone, the stake gets higher, and the competition gets fiercer, and every creator is pushed to make better, bolder, and more like innovative work. So that benefits audiences, creators, and the entire industry. So the opposition will try to frame these awards as a protester of women, but as I showed now, their arguments are rooted in fear, not facts, and they could ignore the fundamental harm that gender inflicts on the very people they claim to help. So now I'll do some refutation to the opposition side. So first, the opposition claims that gendered awards are necessary to ensure female representation, and without separating the categories, women will be shut out entirely. So this is so it assumes that women are not good enough to compete with men. That we need a consolation prize just to be seen. So that is not equality, that is compensation. So, and it's exactly the mindset that keeps us from getting the roles. So the pay and the respect women actors deserve. So if we truly believe women and men are equal, why do we need to separate awards to prove it? And second, they argue that these awards are a stepping stone for women, so a way to build visibility and opportunity. But it proves the opposite. So gendered, the gender it has done nothing to close the pay gap and nothing to fix some some misunderstanding in leading roles, and nothing to get more human women behind the camera. So it is the industry pretending to it's doing something while the real equality so abolishing these awards forces the industry to stop and start competing something that will actually lift women up and not just giving them a separate trophy. So third, they will they claim that merging awards will erase human stories and achievement. So that's not the nonsense. It doesn't have a gender. So a great performance is a great performance, and no matter who gives it. So merging categories doesn't erase women's work. It will evaluate it. So by putting it on the same stage as the best of the best, instead of giving it to a female only category. And so in conclusion, let's be clear that gendered social media awards are not a celebration for women. They are a reminder that we are still seen as less than. So there is a system built up on the lie that we cannot compete with men, and the equality, my partner and I have spent the whole speech fighting. So the opposition wants you to believe that the process isn't giving women a separate trophy. So process is giving women a seat at the same table and the same chance to compete and the same chance to win. So abolishing gender awards would boost the market and break inequality. So and fix a systematic bias across the entire media industry. So it's the only path to a like really fair, thrilling, and true like equal media world. So for all these reasons, I urge to vote for government. Thank you.
So I will be rebutting the deputy government. Okay, so she said that breaking inequality by giving more resources to actresses. This misunderstands what awards actually do. Awards don't directly give resources, they give recognition, which then leads to opportunities. And without gender categories, fewer actresses get recognized in the first place. So you don't fix inequality, you use the visibility that actresses rely on to access those resources. She also stated that it's more creative. That means you can make more movies. There is no mechanism for this. Removing categories does not subtly make the industry more creative. And in fact, our side shows the opposite. When fewer people are recognized, fewer types of performances are rewarded, which actually discourages diversity in storytelling because studios follow what wins awards. She has also stated that this is Yeah.
Okay. So you've mentioned that less categories is going to reduce the amount of awards given, but there's also like in the government side, we can have like different categories instead of gender for like genres of movies like horror or thriller. And like this would be a lot better than gender because we're actually measuring what they're good at rather than what they define themselves as, right?
Yeah, I will get to that later. It's in one of my arguments. Okay. Continuing. She also said that this is built on a lie that men and women cannot compete equally. We are not saying that women are less capable. We are saying that the industry is unequal. There's a difference between ability and opportunity. Women can absolutely compete, but they are not given the same roles, screen time, or investment. So pretending it is equal does not make it equal. She also stated that these awards show inequality and hold women back. This is backwards. Gendered awards exist because inequality already exists. They don't create the problem, they respond to it. Removing them does not remove inequality. It removes one of the few systems that ensures women are still recognized. Next, competing within gender is limiting and one-dimensional. This ignores how recognition works. Having a separate category does not limit performance, right? It ensures visibility. Actresses are still competing at a high level, but within a space where they are not overshadowed by structural bias. This is not limiting. It is protective in an unequal system. Women are locked out of roles and directors don't get enough project. We agree, but this actually proves our point. If women already gets fewer roles and gets fewer big projects, then removing gender awards makes it worse because now they also lose recognition. They mix with the men. And then, so instead of fixing the pipeline, you remove the support at the recognition stage so they don't get recognized. Men and women are equal, so why do we have to separate the awards? Again, this is confusing equality in theory versus reality. In theory, yes. In reality, roles are unequal. Opportunities are unequal. Visibility is unequal. So separating categories is not saying that they are different in value. It is acknowledging that the system they compete in is not equal. A great performance is a great performance no matter who does the work. This sounds nice, but ignores how awards actually work. Awards are not judged in a vacuum. They are influenced by marketing, visibility, and industry bias. So best performance is not purely objective. And in that context, a single category does not reward the best. It rewards the most visible, which again disadvantages actresses. Now moving on to my points. What I want to do in this part of the speech is to build on what my first speaker has already told you and explain why gender award categories are not limiting, but actually necessary in creating a fair and functioning system of recognition. Because at the core of our case is a very simple idea. Awards are not just about who is the best. They shape the entire industry. They decide who gets seen, who gets opportunities, and what kind of stories continue to be told. Now, first point. More categories create more diversity of recognition, which directly shapes the industry.
When we have gender categories like Best Actor and Best Actress, what we are doing is not dividing talent. We are expanding the number of performances that are recognized. And that matters because recognition in media is extremely limited. Every year, only a small number of people are highlighted at the highest level, so when you create separate categories, you are effectively creating more space for different types of performances, stories, and individuals to be acknowledged and appreciated. Now, why does this matter so much? Because recognition is what determines visibility, and visibility is what determines opportunity. When an actress wins an award, it is not about just that one moment. It affects the role she is offered next, the type of films that get funded, how seriously female-led performances are taken. So when you reduce categories into one, you are not creating equality, you are reducing the number of people who get that level of recognition. And in an industry when men already dominate the leading roles in screen time, this reduction disproportionately affects women because they already start from a position with fewer opportunities. So what happens over time? Fewer women win in awards, which means fewer women gain visibility, which means fewer opportunities are created for them. And that creates a cycle where the industry continues to prioritize male-led performances. And so instead of increasing fairness, abolishing gender categories actually reduces diversity and recognition. And that directly limits the variety of stories that are told. Second point, more awards create more opportunities, and removing them concentrates power. Building on that, it is also important to understand that awards function as a gateway. They are one of the main ways people gain status in the industry. And status determines access. When more people win awards, more people gain credibility, influence, and access to higher, bigger projects. This spreads opportunity across a wider group of people. But when you remove gender categories, you reduce the number of winners. And when the number of winners decreases, recognition becomes more concentrated. Now, think about who is most likely to benefit from that concentration. It is not random. It is the people who already have more visibility, more resources, more industry backing, which are the men. And in current reality of the film industry, that is more often men, right? So what you create is a system where fewer people are recognized. Recognition is concentrated among those that already has the advantage, and opportunities become even more unequal. So while government frames this as creating fairness, what they are actually doing is creating a more exclusive system, where fewer people succeed and fewer voices are heard. So before engaging with government claims, it is very important to understand this. Removing gender categories does not create equality, it removes the structure in a system that is already unequal. And when you remove structure in an unequal system, you don't get fairness, you get deeper inequality. Thank you.
Now, gender awards often adhere to the gender binary, which is bad because the gender binary is very recessive, only recognizing men and women. Judge, the problem in the status quo is that gendered media awards is so traditional. It's very traditional. Usually they just stick with the to the binary with man and woman without looking at the genders that exist in modern society. What this looks like is just a man winning the best actor, a woman winning the best singer, etc. Those things like that. They don't talk about the LGBT, about the non-binary. So people's perception of gender in the status quo is still very traditional. They are stuck with the binary man and woman. Now, our side of the house sees this as a problem because this only splits gender into two opposite forms, male and female. But in modern society, there are so many more genders that exist. And whether people like it or not, we have to accept it and we have to acknowledge it. So moving on, I would like to define some terms before getting into my arguments. The first being, who are the vulnerable people in this debate? We are protecting the LGBTQ society, the individuals who have been who have different genders than the ones given at birth. These are the individuals that have been one of the most persecuted groups in history. And even today, they're still so unexpected worldwide. They're often illegalized. And because of this, we need to have a sense of justice for this group of people because they aren't just an item. They aren't just something that they are still human beings, sentient beings who deserve basic rights and respect just as much as anyone else does. Now, the next term I want to define is, what is the gender binary? The gender binary is a very recessive phenomenon that believes that people's gender is defined from their sex at birth, and there only exists male and female. We do not support this idea. We believe that people with other genders and sexes deserve recognition and justice too. Now, just to clarify the stance, Team Government stands against the gender binary and believes that abolishing gendered media awards will both lower misogyny and raise awareness for the marginalized groups. Moving on to my argument, for this debate, I will have 2 points of substance in my speech, and that is one, how we need to weaken the gender binary in modern society, and the next argument is how awards like Oscars need to evolve the current context of modern society so that they can stay relevant. So moving on to my first argument, how we need to weaken the gender binary in modern society. Dear judge, the context that you need to understand is the majority of society assumes as if there are two genders only, which is male and female. But especially with artists, there are individuals out there who feel like their identity is in between, not only female and not only male. There are many, many artists out there who are a part of the LGBTQ community, and that's completely okay. But what is not okay is that in awards ceremonies, they are so limited to only male and female. It doesn't support the gender that the artist believes in. So what I'm trying to say is that it's morally not right. And it's so insensitive to only have the traditional gender binary in media awards when you already know that there are many other genders out there that exist in the status quo. That's why we want to abolish gender media awards, such as Best Actress in the Oscars, because our side actually has a sense of justice for those in the LGBTQ community, because our side believes in equal fairness. Our side believes in a sense of justice for these individuals, and our side believes in raising awareness and making modern society a much better place. What gendered award categories does, it only reinforces the outdated assumption that gender exists only in a male and female binary. Award categories like quote unquote Best Actor and Best Actress assume that performers can only fit into two gender identities. This basically excludes the LGBT, the non-binary, the gender fluid, and the transgender individuals who may not identify strictly within these categories. As society increasingly recognizes gender diversity, maintaining gender categories sends a clear message that institutions are unwilling to evolve. Moving on to my next argument, it's how awards like Oscars need to evolve the current context of modern society so that they can stay relevant. Erasing this gender barrier is not only justice for the individuals who do not strictly stay between these two binary gender categories, but erasing it is also very beneficial for awards events like the Oscars, because modern audiences expect inclusive institutions. The world is changing. Modern society is evolving, and we're not just going to stay in the traditional barriers forever. Furthermore, opposition cannot say anything about this being quote unquote impossible, because it isn't. It's already proven that we can break these old traditions. Women in the past used to be just as discriminated in the past, but as the LGBT now. But look at women now. In the status quo, many female leaders exist. Many successful women exist. Now, this just proves to us that all we have to do is make a change. It's true that misogyny still exists a bit in the status quo, but by abolishing gendered media awards, it also weakens misogyny on top of homophobia, which is beneficial for both groups. Awards are about talent. It's not about gender. If you make awards all about gender, it loses its essence because it's not what awards are all about. Abolishing gendered awards creates a much more inclusive system that recognizes talent regardless of gender identity and ensures that non-binary performers are not forced into these categories that misrepresent them. This is so much more relevant to the current modern society in the status quo. Now, what is the comparison between our side of the house with the opposition side? On opposition, you're basically just very insensitive to the LGBTQ community because you know that there are so many other genders out there, but you basically just don't care. You stay in the binary male and female only traditions and will eventually fall behind on modern society. So at the end of the day, our side of the house believes in equal fairness. Our side of the house believes in justice for women, the LGBTQ, and overall all individuals in modern society today. So dear judge, in conclusion, not only am I able to give you a very, very clear contextualization of the status quo, but I'm also able to give you a very strong argument as to why our side of the house should win this debate. So for all of these reasons, if you believe in justice, if you believe in changing and evolving modern society today, please give the winning ballot to Team Government. Thank you.
This is the heart of our side's case, and I think there is several important layers to do it. So to prove it, I think that firstly, our first argument, I would like to say that the industry is not a level playing field. This point is very concrete. We are trying to prove that women-led projects are often treated as riskier. I think that women are judged more harshly than likability, behavior, and aging, for example, and those kind of appearance. So they are often given less room for failure, and they are highly expected. So I think that the same trait that men would look bold and complicated can make women really look very difficult or unpleasant. This means that women are not entering the awards race from the same starting line. Just please note that down. Although there is some cases about competition about those kind of things, but the problem is that if there is the premise that is not in the same starting line, all of our opponent's case is a problem. Let's firstly characterize some problems in our opposition case. Firstly, it's a thing that probably almost all the speakers are having trouble with is uniqueness. There are always other methods to solve this, while our side is very unique. We'll prove it later. Secondly, is that when they say a lot of things, some say a lot of straw man, some say a lot of false premise, but the problem is that although if our side's case is here and no one rebuts our side's case, thus I think that our opponent's case will all fall. I think that let's talk more about our points, right? I think that if this is true that they're all from not the same starting line, the abolishing the categories might not create fairness. It just may simply let the same unequal system sort everyone through one supposedly neutral framework, but this is not neutral, right? It does not support real justice. So our side impact is 3 layers. First is that there's lesser polarization, because often when the women work hard, but they never get anything. But this leads to more and more discrimination and more polarization. So they will have a kind of discrimination link between men are always higher things. So I think that actually our side can reduce this. Secondly, a social change. So a social change that everyone will try to do is that when there are natural differences, because for example, this guy is good at this thing, this guy is good at that thing. But what we should do is not doing stuff using an excuse of fairness and to force those two kinds of people together. Instead, we should let them compete inner. What do I mean by compete inner? So women will compete women, men will compete men, but not those two blending together. This is a false kind of fairness. So our points are all based on like a false premise. So I think that thirdly is that we will actually anti those kind of men corrupt and oligopoly, because this will often happen. But more importantly, I think our opponents like, if I want to use one word to conclude what their side looks like, is that male chauvinism. That I think that it will happen a lot. I think that this is not applicable, and I think that our side can solve this out. Okay, second condition. I think that our words are not symbolic. I think that they're kind of pipelines for the visibility, right? This one, in my view, I think that is very important. So judge, please note that down. Is that awards do not just hand out trophies, they create attention, they create reputation. And attention and reputation often matters and is important. A nomination or a win can mean more funding, better projects, and things like that. Probably people will ask you as a moral, how do I say, moral like as a goal that they're gonna like become, right? They think you are so good and they want to become you. So I think that categories, I think that are not just symbolic, not just only like symbolic labels. They're part of the way that the opportunity get distributed. I think that for that perspective, the gendered categories can function as one of the few stable ways that women still remain visible and can have even benefits for example, feminism. Why is that true? Because they often lack a same unified goal. Because people want to achieve fairness, then you gotta give those successful cases for those women succeeded to not only attract more people to join, but also solve it in social change. I think only in our side would lead to a social change that women are not being when women are often being in a lower starting line should not be mistreated, and show them that women are good and respectful in our side. That is very unique, because only our side can solve this problem. This is especially good for the social movement, as we proved. 4 layers of rebuttal. Firstly, more true equality. Secondly, more population. of those social movements or for things like that, right? Thirdly, a social change that if people are in a different starting line, we should not neglect them but continue to respect. Fourthly, is that a social change of feminism by giving out those outstanding people. Now let's see OG. OG is enough to beat the other two teams, except for ours, right? Why? Because OG says about econ points, and also they talk about inequality, which is the most important thing. But the problem is that they still lack mechanism and uniqueness, but they still lack certain things. I think that when they say about increase the competition and more market, as long as we prove that there's no increased competition, we'll win. So we think that actually there's only more polarization and more oligopoly. So the competition, they won't compete well. So there is no competition, right? Because we said there's different starting lines. So secondly, it's not unique, right? I think that there's always other ways. So I think that separate. They also say about separated resources to both male and female. I think that since the male take lead, that they definitely give the money out to the male, right? So this is very bad. Secondly, if there is female and male, then I think that it's not realistic. What does that look like, and what's the likelihood? Because they never characterize this. Thirdly, that is not unique again. So now we are gonna rebut OO. OO has the worst case because they say about breaking unfairness. It forces company to give more money, but first it's not marginalized. Ours have social change. Ours have more magnitude, right? Theirs I don't. Secondly, companies they still don't have the incentive to do so, right? If I'm opposition, I'll see that women will even get lesser money because the highest money, the maximum money, now before is that women get 100%, now 50% because there are two categories, right? I think that if I'm opposition, I will rebut by saying that. So I think this is very weak. And I think that when they say about encouraged to make films, what are the incentive? And there's no mechanism, right? And now they say CG, they say non-binary, but what's that relation with this topic? It is actually not mutually exclusive, but in the same time, it is a straw man. So firstly, I think that you not only cannot weaken the gender binary, but you can also still backlash, right, as we proved. Secondly, you have this would work, but this is a social issue. This is not solving in the root, because in the root there is discrimination, people neglected. Thus, only adding this does not mean that my binary can be solved. Thirdly, that actually the best solution is that you create three awards, but not two. So even your side is even worse, right? Your side is just saying that all the people mixed together. Thus, I think that our side can win the three houses. Thank you.
Now, firstly, on towards my rebuttals. Now, my rebuttal on a lot of what the opening opposition said is that more categories, even regarding genders, creates more variety. It will be easier to find a theme that they're good at, and removing gendered awards doesn't destroy inequality, and that more categories means more visibility. Now, more categories, even regarding genders, creates more variety. We believe that this is simply just untrue because having less categories isn't exclusive on any side of this debate. Under our side of this debate, instead of categories being focused on gender, we can focus categories on other things, such as the genre that these people specialize in, such as horror or thriller or something like this. And we believe that this is a lot better for actually scouting talent than simply just gender, because talent doesn't recognize gender, talent recognizes the person itself. You also said that removing gendered awards doesn't destroy inequality. And yes, we know that nothing can fully destroy inequality, but we are saying that it weakens inequality somewhat, and we are going to explain why inside of our speech today. You've also said that more categories, especially for women, will mean more visibility. But here's the thing, especially inside of modern society. So we've all talked about the prominence of misogyny. We've all talked about the prominence of homophobia inside of modern society. But it's actually because of this that there's going to be a lot more visibility for women on our side of this debate. Simply because of the prominence of misogyny, it's going to be a lot more publicized inside of the media if a woman beats a man rather than a woman beating another woman. If a woman is a better actor than a man, then it's going to be a lot more publicized because of this misogyny, because of this inequality towards women. This is why women don't necessarily need to win in any traditional sense. The only thing that women have to do is just beat men. That's all they have to do. They don't have to win first place. At the very least, they can win above another man. And this is going to be heavily publicized because of misogyny, because people don't expect that to happen. People expect when a woman beats a woman, but people won't expect if a woman beats a man. Due to this, it's going to be a lot more publicized. People are going to know a lot more about it, and people are also going to be a lot more aware. Now, here's the thing. Everyone watches media awards, right? Everyone watches the Oscars, everyone watches the Grammys. But the thing is, when we add gender towards it, people oftentimes become less interested in it. Specifically, people who have conservative mindsets, who adhere to the gender binary and don't really care about the different genders that exist inside of modern society other than men and women. Now, here's the thing. If we combine the awards, then if a woman or a non-binary person wins the awards, it's going to be a lot more publicized than simply a woman winning in the women's awards because of what I've already mentioned. People don't expect this to happen. If people don't expect this to happen, then inside of society is going to be a lot more talked about. You obviously will see a lot more people talking about a woman beating a man than simply a woman beating another woman because people don't expect that to happen, right? Nobody expects a woman to beat a man simply because of the misogyny that exists inside of modern society. And also, another thing, a lot of what the opposition team has said inside of this debate is simply just assuming the worst case scenario on each side. You said that if we remove the category for women, then directors, scouts are going to be less interested, anyways. Now, here's the thing, a lot of people in the modern day are a lot more progressive, specifically those directors, those corporations who want to hire because they want to seem more progressive towards the general public, as being more progressive in the modern society will increase the revenue. It will also increase your PR and your popularity, which is why they want to hire women. They want to hire LGBTQ because it makes them seem more progressive. If you seem more progressive, then people are going to like you better. That is why corporations, that is why directors would want to hire women, would want to hire the LGBTQ because they want to be seen as progressive. Yes, even we know that even if this is true, it's only just like a fabrication because these people, maybe they aren't actually progressive. Maybe they're just doing this for the revenue. But at the very least, it exists. There exists this care for the woman to actually want to hire them. There exists this incentive to want to hire the LGBTQ under our side of the house. And again, this is not exclusive to any side. Women will be hired on your side of the house and also on our side of the house simply because of this fact. This fact is enough for women to get hired, for the LGBTQ to get hired, which means that we're not destroying opportunities for women. Because the thing is, inside of modern society, where people are a lot more progressive, there still exists a chance for women to be hired. Now, yes, I already mentioned how there's still a lot of misogyny that exists inside of modern society. And it sounds a little contradictory that I've mentioned about people being progressive. But the thing is, there's a difference between the general public and also between the corporations. The general public, they may not be progressive and may not be conservative at all because a lot of people in the modern day are just apolitical. However, a lot of corporations want to be political, they want to be progressive to seem better towards the general public. If we are able to actually increase the visibility of women by making them have a chance to beat men, then it's going to raise public awareness about the issues regarding women. Because people are going to talk about women more if they win against a man rather than if a woman beats a woman, right? I've already mentioned that. And this means that people are going to be more aware about the problems regarding women because nobody is going to pick up a book about women's rights. No normal person would do that unless they're actually interested in that kind of thing. However, under our side of the house, we're increasing the visibility for women by a lot compared to the opening opposition, compared to the closing opposition. And due to this, we actually end up increasing the amount of equality within modern society simply by increasing the visibility. So we've already rebutted that fact from the other teams. We are also better than the opening government inside of this side because we believe that it's a lot more urgent to talk about societal awareness of women's rights, about the societal awareness of women's rights and the LGBTQ rather than simply just revenue for a certain company, which means that we win against the opening government inside of this aspect. Due to all these reasons that I've mentioned above, please vote for our team. Thank
Okay,
you.
honorable judge and my opponents, I close this debate from the opposition bench. This round is actually very simple when we strip it down. It comes down to two questions. What is the purpose of our awards and what does equality mean in an unequal world? Once we answer those properly, it is very clear why gender media awards must stay. So let me give you our winning path first. So judges are very clear why we win this debate. First, we proved how women, especially those weaker in the industry, actually gain visibility and recognition through gender awards. Second, we show how gender categories break down uh the recognition where the same dominant groups keep winning. Third, we also reduce polarization by keeping representation visible instead of forcing competition between groups that erase groups. And finally, we actively encourage women, strengthening feminist progress. So this is our path to victory. Now, starting from the purpose of our awards. Awards are not just about picking the best performance in isolation. They shape the industry. They decide which kind of roles get better, what stories get funded. The government keeps pushing that this idea was pure merit, but that only works if the system producing those performances is already fair and equal to all of the groups, but it's not. Men still dominate leading roles and budgets and screen time. So when you remove gender awards and force everyone into one category, you're not rewarding the best. You're rewarding the group that already has the most opportunities. That completely defeats the purpose of the rewards, which is supposed to guide the industry toward better representation, not just reflect existing imbalance and inequality. Now we move to the second question. What does equality mean in an unequal world? The government gives you a very shallow answer, some same rules for everyone, but that only works in a level playing field. When the playing field is unequal, same rules just lock in inequality. Real equality is different because it means something you need separate spaces so people can actually compete fairly. That is exactly what gender awards do. They don't give unfair advantage. Without them, women don't suddenly become equal competitors. They just disappear from recognition. Now let's deal with the other teams. So on OG, their case has no uniqueness and no realistic mechanism. They just assume that if we remove categories, somehow equality magically appears. But they never break down the core. Men still dominate in the industry. As long as that is true, women will still statistically lose in this combined category. So the world that doesn't solve anything, it just removes the only mechanism that can guarantee visibility. Uh, on the opening opposition, their case is overly economic. They talk about efficiency and competition, maybe even market incentives, but they don't explain why the industry will suddenly change the overall behavior. And there's no real mechanism, no analysis. So if awards start recognizing women separately, what will push producers to invest more in women-led roles or uh related activities? Nothing. So their case is not only weak, but it's invalid and it's not unique. So it just assumes the market fixes itself. On closing government, they spend too much time talking about non-binary inclusion, but that completely misses the core issue. The debate is not about who is excluded, but about who is structurally weaker. There are groups who are completely invisible, but they are still often disadvantaged and mistreated in terms of opportunities and how they're being recognized. So women fall into that category in many parts of the industry. So even if you fix non-binary inclusion, you still haven't solved the structural disadvantage in women face. So they're solving the wrong problem. Now let's get back to our side and why we win on impact. So first, we help the weakest, not in theory, but in practice. Women who get fewer roles and less visibility and recognition still get a guaranteed platform where excellence is recognized. That matters for careers, future roles, and their influence. Second, we also reduce polarization. When people see representation across genders, it normalizes the diversity. But if you remove it, you create the frustration and perception that the system is biased, which actually increases division and separation. Last, we also drive real social change and we address the root cause. The recognition will lead to opportunities, and opportunities will lead to more representation. And that is how feminism actually progresses in practice, not just through theory, but through true visibility and success in major platforms like awards. So when we weigh this debate, it is very clear. On the purpose of awards, we actually do it. So we shape the industry toward diversity and fairness. On equality, we deliver equality, fairness, and not fake, not fake. And every other team either misunderstands the problem or fails to solve it. So at the end of the day, it's not about whether gender categories are perfect. It's about whether removing them makes the system fairer. And clearly it doesn't. It removes protection, removes visibility, removes recognition, and it strengthens existing power structures. So for all of these reasons, this house should not abolish gender media awards. Thank you.